Hey, what's going on, Wes?
What's up, Brian? It's West Day, bro. Sitting down in front of my camera, getting ready to talk some VR.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's awesome.
West Day is one of my 3 favorite days of the week.
We all know what your favorite day is, Brian, but I respect that you can't say it on camera.
I mean, I don't want to play favorites, man. You know, that'd be silly. That would be silly.
That would be foolish for you to say out loud.
That would be dark. We need, dude, we got a lot to talk about today. Apparently, PokerStars is here, and there's gonna be Walkabout tomorrow. And Jesus Christ, dude, I have just so much shit to do between now and Monday. Like, it's gonna be a long week. So let's get this thing started, because I got places to be, meaning right here with a VR headset on. You ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right. This is PSVR GameScast Live, where we film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and 2 Wise Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure. For all those who like to listen with your eyes, for all those who like to watch with your ears, don't forget we do this on podcast services of your choice. Yes, that includes Spotify. Yes, that includes a whole lot of podcast services that I don't know the name of because I wasn't aware that people use anything other than Spotify. Good for you. But please.
iTunes.
That's a thing, for sure.
Are we on iTunes?
Jay, are we on iTunes? I don't know. Oh, wait, there's no one there. I'm the producer. My name is Brian Paul from this gentleman right here, PSVR without Parole. And this gentleman over here to your right, it's Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers. What's up, Wes?
What's up, Brian? Happy to be here. Happy to be in your presence and with all the game cats. Wednesday is my favorite day of the week. So, yeah, happy to be here.
It's good to hear. And I mean, come on, let's be fair. This is the most PSVR week we've had since February 22nd.
Oh, dude, it was depressing, wasn't it? Like we got spoiled through February and March, and then April just came and everything went pretty quiet. I mean, Creed was our game of the month. What does that tell you, man? PSVR2 game of the month was Creed last month.
Yeah.
Weird.
So you're saying Transformers will be the game of this month?
Well, I'm going to reserve judgment on that because for what it's worth, and I've heard of a lot of people, you know, have their hot takes on this brand new version of Transformers. I'm going to reserve judgment because I liked the original Transformers. I liked it this much more than most people did. So I'm going to reserve judgment.
I mean,
hopefully it's better.
You can reserve judgment all you want, man. But like, I'm going to tell you right now, it's the same game. I just hope you worked out your trigger finger muscles when you played it on PSVR 1, because you're going to need those muscles on PSVR 2 with those adaptive triggers. It's the same game, like even resolution wise. You know, they said we made improvements to the graphics, you know, and they said, I think in the PlayStation blog post, they said that there's new reflections and that they upped the frame rate to 70 FPS. And I was like, you know, vertical robots out there being like 120 FPS, no reprojection, look at blah, 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 and like they've got these like amazing texture, like just a crazy looking red matter too, right? And the Transformers, like we raised it by 10 FPS. Okay,
it's all we can do. It's all we got.
Yeah, I was, you know, it's fine. You know, but here's what I said to everybody. I believe in voice chat yesterday. Yes, I'm disappointed the resolution in Transformers isn't better than it was on PSVR 1, but it's a free upgrade. And if just getting it on PSVR 2 is the most some of these studios are capable of, I will take that. And it's free, right? It's like, this is the solution to backwards compatibility. So this is what we need from like every studio out there. Don't worry about giving us, you know, 4K textures and resolution and everything else. Or 120 FPS, just get your game over from PSVR 1 so we can play it on PSVR 2, right? Some people are desperately holding on to their old headsets because there are games that are stuck there. We don't want them to be stuck there. So I'll take this, man. I'll take this. I'm giving Metaphor interactive shit, but I will take this all day, every day with every game that we need it from.
Yeah, you know, for me, with the visuals specifically, I mean, sure, it didn't look great on PSVR 1, But my main issue with it, because I mean, it wasn't the worst looking game ever either. My main issue with it was that you're trying to take out as many of the enemies as you can, as quickly as you can, and the ones in the distance kind of blended into the background because of the lack of resolution back there. So it was harder to shoot those. If I could just make them out a little bit better on PSVR2, then that'll be enough. That'll be enough of an improvement to, improve the game in a real tangible way for me.
I wonder who's going to be next. I wonder who the next PSVR 1 upres or remaster is going to come from.
We could do a whole episode on our wish list, and I'm sure we've probably already done 5.
we had some downtime there for a while. We covered everything 5 times. I think Pixar Up 1995 will be our next PSVR 1 remaster. I feel like I haven't heard many other studios talking about their plans. I've reached out to a lot of studios, and they said, and most of them, if it makes people feel better out there, most of them have said, we do have plans for PSVR 2. We just can't talk about them yet. And it sounds like most of them are talking about their PSVR 1 games and, of course, new PSVR 2 projects. So things are coming. Just be patient.
I agree. I don't think we're going to have to be that patient. I think the dam's about to break, and I can't wait.
The dam's about to break. We got... Why is Nathan's copying and pasting properly? I'm just going to have to read it directly from the chat. Don't mind me. Technical problems as always. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €5 says, Puzzling Places monthly pack number 13 is still not on the PlayStation Store, and it's been out a week since they said it was out now. What the fuck? I don't know what's going on with that. I hate to say this. I lost track of the Puzzling Places DLC packs at like 3 or 4, and it's up to 13. But here's what I'm happy about. People like Looper are out there anxiously looking forward to it. And that's not something I expected to hear. Puzzling Places is a great game, but I guess I just didn't expect it to be people like chomping at the bit for new 3D jigsaw puzzles.
That says a little something about the state of April in PSVR, doesn't it? The people just can't wait to get that Puzzling Places DLC so they have something to play. I
haven't even tried the PSVR 2 upgrade for it. It looked great on PSVR 1. It was like super high res and stuff, so I definitely want to check that shit out. But yeah, sorry, Looper, I don't actually have an answer for you. I wish I did. I'll contact them though. Those guys are super transparent, and I mean, I bet if you contacted them, they'd give you an answer.
They had to sacrifice the spirit of that DLC so that they could resurrect PokerStars from the ashes.
Dude, did you see this thing about Puzzling Places? What they're tweeting about right now? They're teasing multiplayer.
Yeah, I saw that. Like it's funny. They worded it like they were trying to be coy about it or something. Like we couldn't all tell exactly what they're talking about.
Right.
Multiplayer coming. That's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, and like one of their developers had already tweeted, "Hey, Puzzling Places multiplayer is amazing." It's like, well, you're not being all that coy. One of your developers already spilled the beans. But still cool though. I mean, Puzzling Places is not a game that really required multiplayer, but hey, everything's better with friends, isn't it?
That's right. And if you think about it, there are options here, right? You can do a co-op where you help one another build the puzzles, or you can race. I don't know that that's what they're going to do. I'm saying hypothetically, this is what they could do with multiplayer if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's true, man. I didn't even think about like making it a competition. Can you imagine? It's like 4,000 pieces. Go to it.
Go.
Right. I did it in 17 hours. Oh no. I did it in 17 and a half hours. Belramio the Game Cat with these €60 says, can't stay, need to sleep. We'll catch up tomorrow, but let's start a choo-choo tip train. Thanks, Bell. Appreciate that, man. He had another tip too with the €24. And he's paying for pizza tonight, aren't you? Yes, you are. Thank you. He says, forgot to mention, we should also start a subscribe train for the... We should also start a subscribe train. The 100K gets closer. I don't know how to start a subscribe train, or I would have done it like 6 years ago. I think. How do you make people subscribe to a YouTube channel? Isn't that like just by doing what we're doing and putting out content. I don't make, you know what? I'll have to ask people who actually have successful YouTube channels what they're doing. And
Right. What they're doing is they're taking Ramio's tip and they're going to this nice website that has bots on it, and they're going, here you go. Look, we made it to 100K.
oh, yeah, I've certainly seen that. I've seen some suspicious activity.
I've heard about this.
Yeah. Silver Nexus with the $10 tip says PokerStars and mini golf in the same week. What a week to be a PSVR2 game cat. Dude, I gotta say something, man. You know, we'll definitely talk more about Walkabout and PokerStars throughout the course of this episode, but I've got to say, one of the things I was always really impressed about when I first got my Quest was the social element, right? How easy it was to throw that thing on, and within seconds, you could be in a multiplayer game with your friends. And it was Walkabout Mini Golf and PokerStars that always drove that home point to me. Those two games screamed Quest to me. Those are the two games that really defined the Quest for me. And it is really amazing to be getting both of those here on PSVR2 in the same week. So I agree with you, Silver Nexus. This is a big deal. Big deal.
Yeah. Casual multiplayer options abound. Now, with PokerStars and Walkabout joining Demeo in the PSVR2 library, which just gives you endless hours of fun with your friends.
Demeo is so good. And what about that news about, I don't even think this is on our run of show, but fuck it, man. It's Wednesday. It's casual Wednesday here, or Wednesday on PSVR without Parole. Did you see the news about Demeo? Is it called Demeo Battles?
Yeah, the battle mode? Yeah. I don't know exactly what the proper title is for it, but I am familiar with the concept.
And so this is being spun out into its own game instead of being DLC that they kind of said it would be. And honestly, man, like, I mean, I don't know. Well, let me ask you, Wes, like, you know, over here in PSVR2 land, I know there's a lot of cats out there who are not thrilled that we're not getting the Heroes Hangout, right? The sort of fun lobby for Demeo. And I can totally understand that. I feel like this is the thing to be more upset about, being like, I mean, first of all, I'm thrilled that it's coming, right? But the fact that it's going to be its own separate game, very curious about this. How do you feel about it?
Has pricing been announced for it yet?
I don't believe so, but I kind of just threw this in at the last minute here, so maybe there's information.
So here's the thing.
Yeah,
I would prolong my anger at this, because if history is any kind of precedent, Blast On is free to play.
Oh, that's Resolution as well, right? Okay.
Ultimex is also free to play. We don't necessarily know, you know, if they're, you know, how much they're going to charge, or if they're going to charge anything at all for this. It just might make more sense for them to have this broken off and be its own app for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, dude, free to play, I think would be amazing. I think that would be a great strategy. You know, you get your single player. It's not single player. What am I even talking about? Your co-op core game, and then your PvP stuff. I mean, you could do some crazy stuff with PvP with microtransactions or whatever. So very interesting. Yep. This wasn't, like I said, this wasn't on the run of show. I didn't do any research into this. I just kind of saw this at the last minute. Saw that there was this footage from, I don't know, like over a year ago, when this was supposed to just be an update for the original game. So very cool, very cool. Regardless of how it gets to us, I'm just happy that it's happening, because more Demeo is always a good thing. And I know a lot of people were asking about PvP as well.
Agree. I'm interested to see how the PvP is going to turn out. I mean, either means one of two things. Either it's going to be free to play, or it's going to be relatively awesome, and they think that they can monetize it because it's so awesome. Either way, I'm good, you know?
Yeah. I completely agree. Moving on, we got Man, Bear, Pig, Game Cat with the $2 tip. Wes, he does exist.
I agree.
Says,
I've seen it.
Does PS5 Pro mean PSVR2 /Pro /enhanced?
Well, it could be. I mean, if we're going to take PS4 Pro as a precedent, then, I mean, we can, you know, draw the conclusions we want from that. It likely means that we're going to have a little more horsepower in the console, and it likely is going to mean that that developers are going to have the choice of whether or not they want to support that.
Yeah.
I don't think that it'll be as big of a difference though as like PS4, what PS4 Pro was to PS4. For VR, that was a huge difference. And I feel like on PSVR2 and PS5, we've already kind of reached a pretty good threshold, and there's not as much room for improvement here as there was last generation.
I agree with you, and for the most part, I think that there are certainly people out there who would disagree with us because when it comes to reprojection, certain people are way more susceptible to that kind of stuff. And so if you can actually get rid of reprojection and have everything running at 120 natively or 90 natively, I think that's what we'd be looking at for the PS5 Pro when it comes to PSVR2. And of course, everything running at its highest resolution with the 2K screens. So I think that's what that means. Point. But I agree with you. I think it wouldn't be, for most of us, it wouldn't be nearly as perceptible as it was last generation.
Yeah, man. And let's hope not, because I mean, that OG console really held back PSVR, especially in the latter years of the generation. Hopefully we won't be in a similar situation this time around.
Belramio the Game Cat with the €6 explaining the subscriber train. He says you need to more often remind people. Aren't you supposed to be going to sleep, Bell? What's happening? You need to more often remind people to sub. It works wonders. He uses a quote, if you want to see more reviews like this, sub to IGN without Parole PSVR2. Yeah. I mean, let's see if it works. Hey guys, if you want to see more content like this, we do this every single Monday with AJ, every single Wednesday with Wes, and every single Friday with Miles Dyer. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and click that bell for notifications. We just lost 3 subscribers. Jesus Christ, that didn't work. Whoa. Josh Cat with the $10 tip says, YouTube, I don't know what happened to you, but not letting me put a train emoji followed by a cat emoji into a super chat makes me think you've been badly abused. Sheesh. There's something up with emojis, because when I've been in your chat before, Wes, or other people's chats on their channels, I'll type a message, then I'll put like a heart emoji at the end of it, and it will only send the heart. And I'm like, where did my message go? It's just gone. And so there's something funky with YouTube and emojis and stuff. So that's a good question, Josh. We need to write to them. Oh, and then Belramio the Game Cat, still not asleep, by the way, with the €2.50, sends a train, cat, I don't know, like a lot of other emojis, and just says must train be cat, a you problem, cat, Josh. Cat. Oh, they're all trains and cats. I see. Yeah. I need glasses. I'm getting VR lenses. It's gotta help. It's gotta help. Sure. All right, man. Before we get into the real show, we got one. Oh, where did I go? Oh.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's.
I'm here.
It's the West Show. What?
Let's start the show.
Let's see if this works.
Discord being its usual beautiful self, I see. Tatum in the chat says, yeah, I had a similar problem with the smiley emoji. See, I haven't had any of these problems. Like, not that I'm like uber, emoji user guy. I'm not, but occasionally I try to pull one out, and I haven't had any issues.
Wes, you're going to have to carry the show for me while I fix stuff.
Well, what will I do, Brian? I've never had to host a show before. Hunter, with the $4.99 US, have you fixed the typo in your organ quarter review yet, Brian? We all know you meant 8.5. I haven't done an organ quarter yet. I just got my key for it today. I haven't done it on PSVR2 yet. I guess I should say that. I played it years ago on PC. What'd you give it? Like a 7.5, 6.5, something like that?
I gave it a 6.5, Wes, because it had some major problems on PSVR2. I probably would have given it a 7.5 if it didn't have some significant problems, like I don't know, that map is a big issue. I saw that. Yeah. That the marker, just floats away from you. That just kind of ruins things. So, dude, I think my camera's officially dead. So I'm setting up another camera.
All right. Okay.
Yep.
You go to it. We'll just talk to the chat here while you're getting your backup lined up. That sucks. That was your new camera too, right? Hopefully it's not dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tiffany says that it's Tornado's fault.
It's always Tornado's fault. It was actually. It seemed like it was running off the battery for some reason instead of the cable. So I'll figure that out later. It's a new camera, so
yeah,
I got to figure something.
Mine does the same thing. Like when I'm on the air, my battery slowly drains. So yeah, I understand. Mark says we need Roots here as well. Roots is busy, bro. He don't have time for this nonsense.
All right. Hey, they're still going to be able to hear us, but I just went to the title screen here because I need to throw some settings up on the screen and stuff. So don't mind me. You guys just hang out and enjoy yourselves.
I'm totally not vaping right now, ladies and gentlemen. Not vaping at all.
That's fair.
Spry Guy asked what my background is. Seriously? I thought this would be like the most recognizable background. This is Resident Evil Village. This is right down the hill from, what's her name? Eliza? Is that her name?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is right down the hill from Eliza's house.
I don't know if Eliza's right, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, that lady up there. Scott Zilla, I said PSVR2 was a hobby in a job interview today. That's the best hobby, Scott Zilla. How tall is Roots? Says Man Bear Pig Game Cat.
Ooh.
I thought it was. I thought Roots was 5'8.5". But when I think it was Brandon or maybe Tatum. Somebody, I think it was Brandon, guessed it in the chat the other day. They said he was close and not accurate. So I don't know. I think he's 5'8.5", but I could be wrong.
Have you met Roots in person?
No. But you know what? Eric's going to Denver in a few weeks, and I'm totally jealous. Skiva's going to be there. Alex is going to be there, and I'm going to be here.
Damn.
So totally jealous.
I hate to say this, man. Things are not going well over here. I might have to get under the desk.
Oh, I see.
My apologies to everybody. Wes is doing a great job, though.
It could be you might have to kill your camera feed in Discord, or even kill Discord altogether and bring it back up, which is a scary thought right now, I know, but sometimes there's a conflict when you change equipment on the fly like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wes, is that your voice that says "this week" in Brian's weekly news videos? No, that's Brian, and I think Jeremy King.
Yes, sir.
That does that, but I always say it along with them. So maybe somehow my microphone is broadcasting to your screen, but I doubt it. Tiffany says use the tornado cam.
Actually, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm setting up the tornado cam right now to make this happen, and we've kind of got it working a little bit.
You know, I was thinking earlier today, Brian, we should just do the show from PokerStars, and now that seems like an even better idea than it did then. Let's see. Mark Smith says, you know who else likes to get under the desk?
We do.
Secret Sub is calling for a full reboot. I don't know if we're at that point yet.
No, we're not. I won't be able to do many scene changes, but I think I've got it in just a second here. Thank you guys for being patient.
Ian Stambridge says, I am sure there's some way that we can blame Miles for this.
Yeah,
certainly.
That would be very easy. I blame the king, honestly.
I blame your camera for AJing the fuck out of it.
Yes. Well done. Well done. Okay, we're almost there.
Yeah, Superman says, I think we all say this week along with the video. You know, it's not just along with the video, but every time in my real life that I say the words this week, I do finger quotes. I go, this week, and people look at me like I'm crazy.
And rightfully so, Wes.
Albert, we just made it to 100 likes. Woo-hoo. Now everybody go subscribe. Tornado show. That's a good idea, Indie Soul. You know, cat videos do well on YouTube, Brian. You might want to do like a tornado channel.
I hope Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry timestamps this as West Takeover, because I think that's exactly what's happening right here.
Has anyone jumped into Zenith recently? I haven't done it due to time. I haven't done it, Tiffany, due to time in a different sense, because it's almost time for an update. And that's something else where we were going to talk about today. The new Zenith update drops tomorrow. Cyber Ninja is finally, after all these years, Cyber Ninja is going to drop tomorrow, supposedly. So I've been waiting on that. Colossus showing off some train emojis and cat emojis just to show off and tease Josh or whoever it was earlier that said that.
All right. Well, I think this is going to be the best we got, man. I don't think you're going to be able to see me, but you should be able to see me.
Fine. That's fine.
It's a thing. It's kind of something. So we're back. Wow.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, Brian.
Thank you, Wes. I appreciate it. Good job. Good job keeping the ship afloat.
Good job, chat. I was totally winging it. Chat was the one driving the show, not me.
Nice. All right, man. Well, where the fuck were we? I have no idea. We're gonna get there in just a second.
I don't exactly remember what we were talking about when it all went wrong, Brian.
Well, in that case, you kept us up to date with tips, right? Everybody.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was one, and I read it off.
Yeah, thanks, Chrome Colossus and Hunter. Hunter, I think I hope people didn't misconstrue anything I said in the Oregon Quarter review. It was a cool stealth drop. I was very happy to see that game come out, and it was a good time. But man, there's just some bugs in that game that need to be fixed, and then I can consider it kind of like it end up being like kind of a cult classic type thing.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that it wasn't meant to drop when it did? Because, well, I don't know how much I should say about this, but I've seen reason to believe that it wasn't supposed to launch this week and it was supposed to come next week.
Well, Amada, who published it and apparently handled the port duties on this, they tweeted, their official Twitter account tweeted when it first dropped on Sunday night. So, yeah, maybe it wasn't supposed to come out, but they certainly didn't try to have it retracted. So hopefully we'll get it.
So they're just like, screw it, just let it go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I reported the bugs to them, and hopefully they can get it fixed, but we'll see. Solid 7.5. Like this is definitely, Wes. This is where I want budget horror games to be this generation, right? Last generation we dealt with a lot of like really bad budget horror. I mean, Horror Adventure VR being the first one that comes to mind, but we certainly had a lot in that vein. Even like Don't Knock Twice, which wasn't great. I feel like this is a step up from that. And I really hope that this is sort of the baseline of budget horror that we get, because Afterlife was a step down from this. A significant step down.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you next, is the Oregon Quarter Afterlife.
Compared to Oregon Quarter, Afterlife feels like an experience, right? Like a VR experience where it's just like, well, it only lasted about 2 hours, and the combat was kind of just there so they could say they had combat. It wasn't actually good combat. This takes the combat up a notch. There's multiple weapons. It's not just a pistol. You're certainly dealing with a lot more resource management in terms of weapon, in terms of ammo. You've got to manage your inventory because you've got a limited number of slots. There are item boxes that you have to kind of plan ahead with. It feels, I mean, you can tell that these guys were inspired by Resident Evil and Silent Hill, and took the survival horror. They utilized the definition of that properly, whereas so many people say we're making a survival horror game, but it's just a game where you run around, shoot things, and solve puzzles in VR, but there's never any shortage of ammo or anything like that. So these guys, I feel like these guys knew what they were doing. It just needs to be cleaned up quite a bit.
Yeah, I like the old vibe though, like retro retro vibe it's got going on, and there's a weirdness to it that I always appreciate in games when something really just makes you double take and think, huh. Then I typically enjoy being in these types of games.
Yeah. It's so funny too, man, because on Monday, AJ and I did a show here on GamesCast, and it was like killer week for PSVR2, right? And that was like only knowing what we knew then, right? And then and so Oregon Quarter dropped, stealthwise, and then PokerStars dropped stealthwise, and it's like in this week it's just gotten crazier and crazier as time went on, right? With release dates for Red Matter 2. I mean, like it is, which is coming next week. So it's really, it's pretty crazy, man. Like this feels like an event of some kind. Am I wrong about that? It feels like all of this could have been like in some kind of PSVR2 state of play, meaning like, and get just like drop release date after release date after release date and new game announcements, and like, but instead they just kind of like, I don't know, kind of pushing them out, little blog posts here and there, nothing crazy.
Perhaps they just took April's stuff and held it back so that they could build hype towards something. Some
maybe
event.
Yeah. Move Master Mick, the Shape Throne PSVR GameCat with the level 2 membership, says make sure you get your teams set up and registered for the new Alvo World League Tournament after an amazing Alvo Beta Test League Grand Final Sunday. Man, when the hell is Alvo coming to PSVR2? That's the bigger question. Get your team set up. Yeah.
The beta is about to start actually on that.
Nice.
They put some new info out on their Discord today. So it seems like we're making some significant progress to that end.
That's really good to hear. Really good to hear. It would have been great if they were out at launch, but hey, I mean, shit happens. But Alvo's fun, man.
Indeed.
Time to play VR with the £2. Says Teen Titan is on the wrong side. Like this Teen Titan? Yeah, this camera reverses the image, and the other one didn't. I don't know what's going on. This is really my left eye. That's not true. This is my. I don't fucking know, dude. I can't do things backwards. Wow, guys. We're going to start the show eventually, I swear. Vargosoft with the level 2 membership says, oh no, it's Mirror Universe Brian. It's true. I'm Bizarro Brian. And then thank you very much, GC13, for all of the Without Parole memberships that you just gifted. 10 memberships.
Wow.
Thank you guys. We don't, we try not to push the financial aspect of this too much, but we really appreciate all the people who support us financially and the people who don't say a goddamn word. We love you all.
Hi.
All right, Wes. Let's do one viewer takeover question and then get the show on the road. And that comes to us from Darwin's Eyeball. He says, where are the hybrid games? Apart from the games that Sony paid for, i.e., Resident Evil Village, or games that already existed, No Man's Sky, we haven't gotten many hybrid games for PSVR 2. If hybrid gaming is the way forward for VR, where are the hybrid games? Are they just around the corner, or should we start sounding the alarm? What do you think, Wes?
I don't think we should start sounding the alarm just yet. And again, this is something we touch on almost weekly. Mm-hmm. Sony hasn't been showing anything for PlayStation 5, period. And that, of course, includes PSVR 2. But all signs point to that coming to a very imminent end, as Jeff Grubb, who I have the utmost faith in, has said that there is a PlayStation 5 showcase coming before the end of the month. And I mean, it's been trending. It's been, this has been a hot topic. They as soon as he tweeted that out, I think it was like half a day later, PSVR 2 is trending as well as a bunch of other things like Spider-Man 2 and a bunch of other things. So people are hungry for this. People are ready for it. My question is, Brian, what do we do if the PS5 showcase comes and then there's no PSVR 2 announcements? What are we going to do then? Should it be time to sound the alarm in that instance?
Well, then the Without Parole GameCat community just becomes a suicide cult. So I'm already in the process of. There's a lot of paperwork involved in that kind of stuff, but I'm pushing it through. I'm pushing it through my guy right now, and we'll get that going. I don't want to live, Wes. If there's no,
I've got our shipment of robes in, Brian. I'm just waiting on the white tennis shoes, and we'll be good to go.
Are they embroidered with the cat paw, as I asked? The white cat paw.
Well, I mean, it's kind of an off white, but yeah, I mean, it'll work.
I'll take off white. Shows the dirt less. Live with the Underground Game Cat with the 5 years says, Demeo, Tetris, Last Worker, Before Your Eyes are hybrid too. This is true. These are games that you can play on the flat screen. I do think that, when we're talking about hybrid games, or when Darwin's Eyeball is asking this question, I think hybrid games are the way forward, especially for AAA games. I think that's always been sort of the way that we talk about these things, because we want these big AAA games. We want these things that we don't see very frequently in VR, but there's just no way to make them happen unless they are hybrids games, unless they're also playable on the flat screen, because otherwise studios won't make their money back. To answer Darwin's question, I think, I'm not concerned in the slightest. I think we had an amazing launch. February 22nd, March, April, May. Has it? What month are we in? Are we in May? So
we're in 2.5. We're in 2.5 months since PSVR2 launched, and even more significantly in this context, we're only about 18 months, 19 months since this kind of initiative was revealed in the Developer Summit. And I don't know if you guys know, but AAA games take years and years to make.
Right.
So I agree. I'm not concerned at all.
Right. In the 2.5 months since the PSVR2 launch, I think we've seen amazing titles come through, and I think what we're getting now are like it looks like the titles we're getting now are certainly a lot of games that we've seen on other platforms. We're hopefully getting Hubris soon, and that's of course a big PC VR game. Red Matter 2, was big on other platforms, and then of course Walkabout this week in PokerStars. I mean, what's happening right now is Sony saying you don't need to own another headset, right? Not only do we have all the games that are available on all the other headsets, but we also have the best versions of them by a mile, and I think that's a big deal. And then once we have all of those, I'm not saying this is how they're planning it. I'm just saying this is sort of how the cards seem to be falling. Then if we get a showcase at the end of this month or the beginning of next month, then we actually look forward and say, well, what makes PSVR2 different? And then we start revealing those partnerships with third parties. As Wes said, these games take years to make. AAA games take years to make. And the problem with that is that a lot of these games are being developed during COVID, where people were suddenly working from home. And when you talk to any studio who's trying to push out a AAA flat screen game right now, VR is not even on their mind, right? They're trying to get their game out without bugs or without it crashing, right? This has been a problem with a lot of recent games. The newest Star Wars game is having this problem, right? Despite the great reviews, it's still a technical fuck up. Like, it needs some patches, it needs a little bit of work. And so adding a VR component to these games isn't first priority for any of these studios yet. But I think it's one of those things that will start snowballing, right? As the time goes on, the games will start stacking up and stacking up and stacking up. And I think Sony's going to be the one to say, hey, the new F1 game, 2023, has PSVR2 support. Hey, this new blah blah game has the PSVR2 support. And they're going to want to do that on their stage. And be like, look at why you need a PSVR2, and do it all together, right? Because together as one big announcement, it's going to be way more impactful, in my opinion, at least.
Tim O'Keefe in the chat says, if we got 1 or 2 big PSVR2 announcements at the showcase, honestly, I'd be really happy with that. And yeah, we were kind of talking about that a little bit before the show. Like, I don't think it's very likely that we get through that showcase with nothing, but I think it's at least a possibility that we get 1, 2, or 3 major announcements, and then the rest of it kind of coming in the form of a blog post. What do you think, man? If we got like 2 or 3 bangers, is that going to be enough to stoke your excitement through the next couple of months?
I mean, it depends. Everything has to be taken within context, and I think that the context we need for these 2 or 3 bangers is: are these all coming this year? Are these coming in the next couple months? Are these holiday releases? Do these have 2024 release dates on them? Like that's the importance of people know that just need to know the roadmap and get a good feel of what to expect. And so if they say, hey, look, Half-Life Alyx and BioShock and whatever, right? They just give us a bunch of games that we really like. But then they say 2024, but are you kidding me? There's nothing else happening this year, like no other big AAA games. So I think we need sort of a good feeling that there's going to be consistent content, consistent high quality content for the foreseeable future. And I do think we're going to get that, man. I do. The hybrid game model makes a lot of sense for a lot of the first party games that are in development. And so I think we're going to see a lot of that from Sony. And then you combine that with 3 or 4 AAA third party games. And I think 2 or 3 is a lot less than we'll see at a showcase. And I know I could be too optimistic, man. I could be being too optimistic, but it's been too long since the Sony showcase, and they kind of have a lot to prove.
Give us 1 to 3 big titles that are coming soon, coming this year, we'll say. Mm-hmm. And then give us a sizzle reel of stuff that's not only coming down the road, but let us see some of the hopefully enhanced rebuilds of some of the PSVR1 exclusives that we're all waiting on.
Yep.
I think if we get a couple of big announcements and then a nice little sizzle reel that we can dissect and Zapruder, I think we'll be good.
I love dissecting sizzle reels. Sometimes it's all we had. We made the most of it. Jordan F says Foglands and Synapse are both coming in 2023. I bet those could show up again. Those. I hope those don't make a showcase. Right. I feel like those were great state of play titles. And be like, oh, we got a good look at those games, and now it's time to play those games. I don't. For me, that's not showcase quality. Anything that's also showing up. I know Synapse is a PSVR2 exclusive, but as far as like Foundation, which looks fantastic, I think anything that's also showing up on Quest probably shouldn't be included in a Sony showcase. Right? That's when you want to show the bangers, the things that cannot be done on a Quest 2 and will not be done on PC VR. Because of Sony's relationships with these studios, a la Resident Evil 7/Village. I think those are the kind of things we want to see at a showcase, personally.
Absolutely. I think in 5 or 6 weeks that VR is going to be on fire and hype is going to be at a new high, at least for what we've seen this year. Because not only do we have the Sony thing coming, like you said, we've got the Meta thing coming. We got Apple getting in the fray, and God knows what else. So I think that things are about to turn very, very soon.
I think so too. As Imzadi in the chat said, I don't know why people are freaking out. There's realistically not that many PS5 games since launch. Yeah, and that's and that's why it's time now. For PlayStation to unveil what's happening next, like what is going on for the next couple years. And I don't know why people are freaking out either. Like it hasn't been 3 months yet. And it's been like I feel like I've said this before. I said this at launch and I still stand by this, that PSVR2 had the best launch of any console or peripheral in the history of video gaming, hands down. And yes, that includes the PS2 and Dreamcast. I was there for both of those, both great launches. This blows both of those away. And then what followed was stunning. Right? Getting Retribution after launch, I know not everybody loved it, but Switchback after launch. And then here we are getting Red Matter 2 and Hubris and Walkabout and PokerStars. It's been some really killer titles since launch. And if you've ever been around for a console launch before, usually it gets real fucking dry for a while, right? Because everybody rushed their games out for launch and then the next ones aren't due for another 7 or 8 months. It's like I guess I'll play Zone of the Enders again.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, people will be good, man. I like Red Matter 2 is a top quality title. People should be excited for that. That was one of our games of the year last year. Nice. We picked it over games like Bone Lab, which were probably a little more popular. Red Matter 2 is a better game. And Hubris, with all of the improvements that it's getting over the prior version, that's something that people should be looking forward to as well.
Before we move on to the rest of the show, we've got Kill Artist 1, the Dreamweaver Game Cat, with the $5 tip, says, didn't I see that Undead Citadel is announcing something this Friday? Been waiting for that one. What do we know about Undead Citadel? Does that have a release date anywhere else yet on Steam?
No, it's coming to Steam probably next month. It will not be unless they've changed. It will not be launching concurrently on PlayStation VR2. That'll be a little bit later down the road. But yeah, the Undead Citadel is finally about to drop on PC.
Nice. Yeah, in that game, I think in my head, that game got so close to making it to the PSVR2 launch, right? Because it seemed like they were trying to make that happen. And then a few weeks before, they were like, well, missed opportunity. We tried. And so now it's like, well, you must have gotten fucking close, right? So once the Steam release is out, I feel like they're going to pick up the ball and run with it and get to the finish line pretty quickly, man. Pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. But I've learned to not assume anything about Undead Citadel.
Yeah. I mean, that game's only been teased for 4 years now.
Something like that.
Yeah. Red Matter 2's coming out next week, Wes.
Yes, it is.
That's really good news.
People are going to love this game. This game, Red Matter, the original Red Matter, was very well received on all platforms. This is hands down a better game than the original one.
You're gonna do me a favor, man. Put 60 seconds up on the clock up on the counter, okay? And convince me of this, because I played for you and I did a show about games that were already on Quest or PCVR that would be coming to PSVR2 later, and this is one of the games that we played, or I played. Yeah, I think you'd already played it, and I was really impressed from a technical standpoint on Quest, being like, wow, this looks really good, like really sharp, and like all the surfaces were reflective, and I was like, dude, this looks fucking good. This is a good looking game, right? It definitely pumped out some stronger visuals on Quest than I ever thought I could see on that system. But the gameplay and the puzzles so far in the first 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever I played weren't doing the same thing for me that Red Matter 1 felt very escape room like. Everything was cryptic. You were scanning things and translating things and trying to figure out how everything worked together. And this so far has that feeling, but didn't grab me in the same way. So what makes this and maybe things get better, right? Or maybe I just need to give it another chance. But what happens later that makes this the better game of the two?
Well, I mean, it's a different game. It's not the original. Now, everything that the original does, this one does as well. It's got that awesome narrative, the weirdness keeps you thinking. And it's got those same type of puzzles. They're kind of easy at first. They get a little more difficult as you go along. And the thing builds literally all the way through the end. But it's a little bit longer of a game. It's a little bit more involved of a story. And there's more aspects to the gameplay. This isn't just a puzzle adventure. There's platforming in this. There's combat in this. It's a much more complete game than the original. And yeah, it is a little slow to start, but it picks up, man. And there are a lot of different environments and a lot of different situations you have to find your way through, other than just the kind of straightforward puzzling that the first one had.
58, 59, 60. Good job, man. That was perfect. You nailed it. Okay, good, man. I'm excited. And with it coming out next week, obviously we'll have some impressions for you very, very soon on that. It's going to be really exciting. Ted Rex in the chat, by the way, reminds us that 4 years on Undead Citadel is nothing. He says, I still have my Beyond Good and Evil 2 pre-order. He's got his fingers crossed that it's going to be this year. Or this is going to be the year. Dude, Beyond Good and Evil was so good. So good. I desperately wanted Beyond Good and Evil 2. I can't believe that game isn't out. It's nuts. Yeah. All right, man. We got Walkabout Mini Golf coming out tomorrow. I feel like everything is like broken right now. Like you just keep tearing off pieces of duct tape, just shoving it down. I can't change the scene right now on OBS. It's just this. I'm going to be this size. Wow. You're going to be that size. The trailer's going to be right here. The chat's going to be. Nothing's changing until the show is over.
Okay.
Walkabout Mini Golf, man, one of my favorite games on Quest 2. I've got more hours in that than I would love to say than any other Quest game, but really more hours in that game than any other VR game, hands down. Period. And so it's finally coming. Do you care? Have you played too much of this on other platforms already? Are you excited for a PSVR2 release?
yes, yes, and yes. Like I have played too much of it, but knowing that this was coming, I've laid off of it for a couple of weeks. So I'm ready for it, man. I'm excited. I'm excited because it's going to include people that weren't able to play before. I'm super excited about the fact that they're packing in all the DLC for like what was it, $35?
Yep.
You can get the game and all the DLC.
Amazing
That's
deal.
incredible. So yeah, man, I'm excited for people, and I'm excited to get it. You know, have another reason to get in there and check it out. I still haven't played all the DLC. There are courses. Don't ask me which ones, but I know that they're there. There's a handful of courses that I haven't even tried in this game yet.
Yeah, it was that was a good feeling for me too. Getting back in there and saying, well, sorry guys, you announced the PSVR2 version too early because that means I wasn't buying DLC for your Quest game until I got it on PSVR2 where I wanted to play it, which means I hadn't played Upside Down, and I keep calling the most recent one the Egyptian one because it's got pyramids,
Right.
but I never remember what it's called. And I'll tell you, I had heard bad things about Upside Down, right? It's a game that's you play in a very urban setting. You know, there's buildings everywhere, but it's also kind of like MC Escher, where it's like, you know, every time you turn, there's like, oh, this shit's on the ceiling and this shit's on the wall, and like there's a car driving by and it's currently on the ground, but then it takes the turn, and you're like, oh, that's driving on the wall now. And so it's very disorienting, and that plays into how the course plays as well, because there's different gravitational shifts. You know, you put your ball through one thing and it shifts the gravity, and then suddenly like the gravity's on the wall or on the ceiling, and sometimes there's nothing on the ceiling, so your ball just goes boom, you never see it again.
Nope.
Right? And I heard a lot of bad things about this. I heard people like not enjoying it, saying Upside Down was sort of a low note in their DLC, and I completely disagree. I had a lot of fun with this, and when you're putting on the wall, you're literally like you have to stand like normal and like you're doing this, or you're putting on the ceiling, right? Like it's just so goofy. It's hard not to laugh. So I'm having a blast with this, man. Having a really good time with Walkabout. I put up my review today, 9.5. I'm like sort of falling in love with this game all over again, Wes. So very good stuff.
That's cool. It's also one of the games that we're going to be covering this week on Strangers in the Night. So, yeah, want to be spending a little more time in there over the next couple of days. So, hit me up and we'll play.
VR Spry guy says if you're semi-serious about score in WMG, Walkabout Mini Golf Upside Down isn't much fun. I disagree, 100%. I take my score very seriously. Nick agrees with me. Thank you.
For what it's worth, I haven't played it either.
Yeah.
I haven't played that one either. It was one of the ones I was excited about when I heard about it, but then people talking about it completely killed my hype for it, so I never went into it.
Yeah. Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry says, do your putters and balls carry over from Quest? No, nothing carries over from Quest. If you bought it on Quest, you've got to rebuy it, and you have a different profile. So nothing carries over at all. So you can, but there is crossplay. So
Yeah.
you know, if you've got your significant other over on the Quest, then you can jump in on your PSVR2 and play together, which is pretty cool.
You can play with your significant other or some insignificant others.
That's right.
At the same time.
That's right. Or you can play with a lot of fucking cool game cats, because Professor Lilith already told me that this Sunday multiplayer meetup, 2 p.m. Eastern, remember, join our Discord, Walkabout Mini Golf, which is crazy. And when she told me that, I was like, that's fantastic. Walkabout Mini Golf this Sunday. Oh my God, I can't wait. I'm going to be there. And then I was like, oh wait, Mother's Day. And then I said, oh no, PokerStars came out. Like, like the two most social VR games of all time showing up on the same week is kind of crazy. Yeah.
You know, we could all just go into Zenith and talk about it for a minute and decide how we want to play.
Yeah. Steve Irie says 95 out of 100 is very high praise, or 9.5 out of 10. Yeah. Yep. One of my favorite VR games. What can I say? Not all amazing games need to have amazing graphics or crazy deep gameplay. They just need to be really, really good at what they're doing. And this one is really good at what it does.
You know what though?
What?
How amazing would it be if it did have photoreal graphics?
Oh yeah.
Think about that for a minute. Think about like the undersea levels, or Atlantis, or the Egyptian level, as you like to call it. Imagine if all that was like photo real for next gen VR. That would be crazy.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, it would take them like a year and a half to do every DLC course, right?
Right.
And I will totally
point.
Sacrifice that to get DLC courses every couple months because I'm really enjoying the quantity and quality of these things. So that's exciting. But of course, we've got the big news. I mean, not that Walkabout isn't big news, but the big news was our stealth drop of PokerStars that dropped yesterday. Now, you might be out there going, no, it didn't, Brian. And that's because you don't live where we live. Because in the US, it dropped, and everyone else seems to still be waiting. It's not out in the UK. It's not out in most of Europe or all of Europe. Or not out in Australia. I don't know about the Asian territories. They have not gotten in touch with me. But the fact is that it will be coming to your European and UK territories and Australian territories. We know this. Be patient. And hopefully it'll be this week because holy crap, man, this shit's a lot of fun. Wes, I was shocked. You said, am I correct? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Am I correct in saying you said you did not play this game on the Quest?
That's correct. I haven't played this game on any platform prior to today. It's one of a few games that I can actually say I waited for PSVR2 to play this game. And yeah, man, it's pretty cool. It's another cool way to get in and burn hours and hours with your friends and then not realize how long you've been in there.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's, we used to play this all the time on Quest. This was a game I played quite a bit on the Quest 1, and I had serious problems with it. Like the screen would freeze quite a bit, and it always seemed like it was going to crash. And then suddenly I would catch up with everybody else and be like, okay, it's good, I'm still here. And then sometimes I would crash a lot, which obviously got pretty much rectified on the Quest 2. But man, on the PSVR 2, this thing looks really sharp. It plays really well. It never feels like it's going to crash. And just like Walkabout, what I really love about these social games is how easy they make it. Did you hear that, or was that just me?
I heard you stop talking. That's all I heard.
Okay. They make it really easy to get in there and play with your friends. Like that's one of the most important things about social games, right? Because if you struggle to create a little party over on the PlayStation network and then invite everybody into the game, it's just a mess. And so just like things with room codes or passwords or whatever are really appreciated, and this does that really well, and that also. And Walkabout does that really well. So I was really happy for the last 2 days to get into this thing and easily get in there with some of the cats and have some fun. Oh, the cats heard that too. What the fuck? Nihilus Ryan said, did a toilet flush somewhere? I don't know.
You might want to go check your kitchen wall, Brian. Make sure there's not water running down it.
Okay, everybody heard it. It's not just me. I thought I was going crazy. I feel better now. So what were your thoughts, man? As somebody who played this for the first time, today? How are you feeling about this?
It's good. It's cool, man. I mean, it takes a little bit of I never thought I would need a tutorial for a poker game, but you kind of need to do the tutorial to just kind of learn how to operate in these spaces and with these games. But it was pretty cool, man. Like I was a little frustrated at first. Because I didn't realize what kind of turning was in the game. I just thought there was no turning because there's no stick turning in it. Like they put you in your home area, which you can teleport around, but there's no stick turning, which I thought was ridiculous because it's a seated game. You need to be able to turn. But what I ended up finally realizing is it's got that kind of Robo Recall style. You turn as you teleport. So what direction that you rotate your thumbstick that's what direction that you'll be facing when you land them. After I figured that out, everything was great. Everything worked well. It was easy enough to get into a lobby. A little confused by no crossplay here. Hopefully that's on the way. But no, man, it looked good. It played well. It is just as far as poker goes, it is just Texas Hold'em right now. But you can go to the casino and play blackjack or roulette or any of those other games of chance. Plus another one I've never seen before, Brian, the Rocket game, which I didn't know was a thing, but apparently it is.
The Rocket game is actually, a lot of fun. Yeah,
It's chicken. It's a game of chicken, basically.
it kind of is. Here, you know what? I think I actually have footage of that. Here's what happened to me. Last night I went in and I played some PokerStars VR. I played with some friends and we had a good time. And I learned a lot. I want to give a shout out to Elvert because Elvert taught me a whole fucking lot about this game that I didn't know or didn't remember from the Quest version. It's nonstop chaos. This is poker for the attention deficit generation. It's like poker just gives you a reason to sit around this table and hang out with your friends and shoot the shit. But man, you're constantly like there's tons of items to play with. Like I have a coffee mug in front of me at all times, but there's like fidget spinners and sharks and
Plunger. There's a plunger. And,
yep.
A panda. It was a panda, right?
Yep. Yeah, and you can buy gifts for people, right? So when Awesome Tatum showed up, I bought him a little panda. I just fucking random, right? There was no meaning, and so I don't know who brought the plunger, but I was just sitting there at the table and I was goofing around, and I took the plunger and I stabbed a rubber ducky with it, and then I threw the plunger and it stuck to the ceiling with the rubber ducky inside of it, and I was just like, it's just silliness, man. Like the poker stuff itself works great. We should probably mention that. But because you're sitting at the table and you can reach out and like roll your cards, so you don't have to actually pick them up. You can just kind of look at what cards you have, and that feels really natural once you get the hang of it. Betting, all of that, it just kind of works. It takes a minute, and it's better to go in with friends because there's a lot to learn. But it's really good. But then it's just like pure chaos, man. Like if you're not playing with toys or talking with your friends or playing your hand, then there are slot machines that you can just make virtually appear next to you, and you can just be playing a slot machine the entire time you're playing a game of poker with your friends. How ADD do you have to be for this to all sound like a good time? But it's perfect. It's exactly what I needed.
It's a nice concentrated dose of like the casino atmosphere. That's what I enjoy about it. The other thing I enjoy about it is you're right. It is kind of streamlined. Like you don't have to be an expert card player to get in there and play. Like for example, when it comes your turn, if you're playing Hold'em, the thing will automatically pull the amount of chips out that you need to call, and then you can add to that if you want to raise. But things like that. It'll also tell you what hand you have. Like if you don't play a lot of poker and you don't understand the hands and you don't understand which one beats what. They'll give you a cheat sheet you can pull out of midair, but you don't even need that because it'll tell you with each turn that goes around the table what you have. So you don't even have to think about it if you're new at poker. The game kind of does half of the thinking for you. So that's something else I really enjoyed about it, was because it's probably been over a decade since I played poker. It's like riding a bike. After you get in there and you start messing around, it all comes back to you. But it was one of the things I was concerned about. It's like, I'm going to get in here and not even know what the hell I'm doing. So yeah, I appreciated that kind of training wheels aspect that they put on there.
Twitcher says we haven't called it ADD since 1994. Brian, it's ADHD now. Okay. I'm sorry for all the ADHD people I just offended. The game that Wes was talking about, by the way, the spaceship game. When you first go in, you can either just choose to go directly to play poker, or you can go play blackjack, or you can go to Casino One. And Casino One has a variety of games. And I meant to go check out everything today before GAMESCAST because I played tons of poker. I played like probably 3 or 4 hours of poker since this thing came out. But I've only played, but I haven't played blackjack, and I didn't go explore the rest of the casino. So I was like, I'm going to go check out everything. I'm going to go play everything so I can talk about it all on GAMESCAST. And what happened was I found this spaceship game, and this is where I stayed until it was time for GAMESCAST. Yeah. And what it is you all sit around in a circle, and in the middle of the circle is a spaceship, right? Before it launches, you throw in your bet, you throw in your money, and you don't know when the spaceship's going to blow up. But it is going to blow up, and the longer it stays up there, the more multipliers it racks up, and the more money you make. And so, but it's very easy to lose your money. This thing can blow up in the first second, or you can get to like 150 multiplier. And so it's all just like Wes said. You nailed it, Wes. It's a game of chicken. But we sat around and we laughed a lot playing this, and we were all like, I'm not gonna hit the button. I'm not gonna tap out until 10x. I need to get my money back. Typical gambling bullshit, right? I need to make my money back, so I'm gonna throw more money at the problem and play more dangerously in order to get my money back, which of course is never gonna get you your money back. But it's fun, dude. It's all fake money. It's fake money, so I didn't give a fuck. This is a fun game.
I like this game. I wish they had this game in Vegas. I would play this game. Because it's fun and it's addictive.
Time to play VR in the chat says, what happens when you run out of chips? Okay, so it's a free-to-play game, right? And you can spend real money in this. For all the hours I spent playing this on Quest, I never spent real money. So far, I've never spent any real money. My goal is to never spend any real money in this game because I actually don't think this is a good game for me personally. I am easily addicted to things, right? I had a major problem with drugs in life. I have a major problem with alcohol in life. Anything that I do, even video games, even collecting video games, I get addicted to it, right? Gambling, I found that at a very early age, I had a problem with. And so I'm going to have to monitor myself closely on this. I have to make sure I don't spend any actual money. But every 8 hours, right? You go in and you spin this big giant wheel, and you get a random number of chips, right? A random amount of virtual currency. And so as long as you can limit yourself to that, then you're good. But if you do have a problem with gambling, be careful because this is a lot of fun and I can feel the addiction creeping in. So just be careful. That's all I got to say.
Well, luckily, I mean, you can spend real money, but you can't win real money in it. If you could win real money in it, then I would probably just stay in there all the time. Until I, got a divorce and my children left, all that. But it would be fun until then.
Joe Elf in the chat says this game isn't on my store. It's not available in all regions yet. That's why in my thumbnail it says it's available today in the US. So we are waiting for it to show up in other regions. The UK, Europe, and Australia do not have this yet. So stay tuned because the European Twitter account for PlayStation tweeted this out. Like this week, said, "Hey, it's PokerStars VR is coming to PSVR2 soon." So, that is evidence that it's coming soon.
And they're super credible. The PokerStars social post.
It's a PlayStation post. Also not super credible, but what are you gonna do? Yeah. So anyway, slot machines, blackjack, poker, whatever. What a great fucking way to hang out and spend time with your friends. Again, just be very, very careful. If you do have any kind of addiction problems, any gambling problems, keep, either don't play this, don't download it, or set safe boundaries for yourself. I can see it's becoming a problem.
And the blackjack is cool, by the way. We sit down 3 of us and played blackjack for a few minutes, and it took a minute to kind of figure out how to bet because they're not as descriptive with this as they were with the the poker had a tutorial, but the blackjack doesn't yet. That's coming. So it took us a minute to figure out how to bet and what how to kind of operate in it. But after we got going, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And Imzadi actually is a good reminder in the chat here. If you're in another region, such as Australia, you can make a US account. We've been telling you for years to have a US account on PlayStation because this kind of shit happens all the time, right? I actually recommend having an account in all regions if possible. Just make up fake addresses. It's a lot of fun. I live on one main street in downtown Europe. So it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think we're neighbors.
Perfect. I think it's the same apartment complex. It's one main street. It's fucking big, man. We all live there. It's crazy. Oh God. Crazy, man. This has been one hell of a show, man. Nothing works as always, but it's good that you guys all stuck with it. Yeah. Dude, you know what time it is?
I would wager. See how I tied that in there? See what I did? I would wager that it's time for us to play 20 questions, Brian.
That is a very good wager. I do have one minor problem, and that's that I don't have the game that I want up.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, we'll just while you're doing that, we'll read Mindjive's comment here. Mindjive in the chat says, "After the fall, Deluxe Edition PS4 is 60% off, but the PS4 PS5 bundle is not. Has anyone recently bought the PS4 only version, and is it still upgradable, or was it only for the first month or so?" As far as I know, Swordsman was the only title that put a time limit on the upgrade. Am I right about that, Brian?
That's the only one I've heard of doing that. Yes. That's the only one I've heard of doing that. So I'm kind of curious to see how they enforce that too. Like, will they have to like change the SKU on the PlayStation Store after a month goes by in order for it to be something that must be purchased, like a completely separate? I don't know. So, but yeah.
By the way, here's everyone's reminder: you better go get your Swordsman upgrade because we got like a few weeks left on that.
Yeah. Has it been on sale? Is it on sale?
I don't know. I don't know if it's on sale. I'm talking about people who already had it. The upgrade's free for 3 months. We're coming up on 3 months.
Yeah.
So people might want to get your free upgrade while it's still free. They just did a big update. Did the update come to PlayStation? The ranged combat thing they just did?
Yeah, that update happened, I believe, this week. I've not checked it out though. I got to say, the Swordsman updates came kind of fast and furious for a while, and I got burnt out on Swordsman because I liked the core game. I liked it when it came out. I think I gave it like a 7 at launch, right? And they kept adding bosses and weapons, and now you can grab enemies, now you can throw enemies, now you can punch enemies, now you can. I mean, it was there was just all sorts of. They improved the AI. They improved the motion capture stuff. I mean, like they went all in, man. And then, like, every time I went into that game, I was like, okay, you know what? I think I've had enough. And I'm super, super happy for all the people who are just buying Swordsman now and getting like this ridiculously full over the top Swordsman experience. But for somebody like me who played the crap out of it when it first came out, like all these little upgrades, I'm like, no, just save it, man. Get 20 updates and throw them in as like one big patch.
Right.
Because yeah, it's just kind of not enough for me one at a time. But very happy that it's a much better game than it ever was. All right, man.
The moral of the story is go get your free stuff while you can while it's still free.
Go get your free stuff while it's still free. All right, man. Are you ready?
I am as ready as I always am.
All right, guys, help Wes out. These games are way harder than you think they are. It's easy sitting at home and doing this. Fucking trust me, I do it on GameScoop. But he's gonna need some help. So give him some good advice, some good questions to ask, and of course, good suggestions based on the answers to those questions. On your mark, get set, go.
Has this game been announced for PlayStation VR2?
No.
No. Is this game exclusive to PlayStation VR?
No.
No. So it's a cross-platform game. Does it use thumbsticks?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So it's a cross-platform game with thumbsticks. So we're going to assume that it's a gamepad game. Is there locomotion in the game?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Is it a shooter?
I would say you'd call it that. Yeah. That's 5.
You'd say I'd call it that. Okay.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of shooting in the
Who are
game.
you to put words in my mouth?
There's a lot of shooting in the game, Les. Okay. I want you to remember that that's how I defined shooter. There's a lot of shooting in the game.
Okay. Are you in a vehicle?
You are.
Okay. So, is there racing?
No.
Okay. Are you flying?
Yes.
Okay, so you're flying. There's a lot of shooting. Is this game also playable flat?
Yes.
Okay. Has this developer done other PlayStation VR games?
I don't believe so. Let me just 100% double check that for you.
Okay, I think we're barking up the right tree here. I had 2 in mind, and you just eliminated
Yeah.
one.
They have not. That's 10.
Okay. Okay. Is the entire game playable in VR?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay, so it's not Ace Combat then. And okay, so now this is interesting. I wouldn't say no. There's a lot of shooting, and well, I mean maybe No Man's Sky does have a lot of shooting. I wouldn't call it a shooter though. Is this game based upon a known IP?
Yes.
Is that IP Star Wars?
Yes.
Okay. Is it published by EA?
Yes.
Is this game Star Wars Squadrons?
Yes, it is. Star Wars Squadrons. Developed by Motive, EA Motive. I actually had to look that up, man. I think my brain is starting to I'm starting to lose it a little bit. Definitely not as quick as I used to be. Fantastic PSVR 1 game. Needs to be announced for PSVR2. That was a big no when you asked, but yes, it needs to be. How great would this game look if it was like? Actually, dude, did you play this on PCVR? I forget that it came out over there.
Yeah, I actually played this on PC and PlayStation. Beautiful game. You know, this is kind of crazy how underrated this game is. It goes on sale for like $6 all the time.
Yeah. And
it's like a AAA Star Wars game. It's got a story, like an awesome story mode, full multiplayer. This is an amazing game. And nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever plays it. When people talk about the best Star Wars games, it never comes up. Like, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. It's an awesome game.
Yeah, I agree. But just out of curiosity, I mean, it looked really nice on the OG PS4, and then of course better on the Pro. And this was one of those games with dynamic resolution. So like when PS5 first came out and we hooked our PSVR ones up, this was like, oh wow, this got a good, nice little bump in resolution. But still, you know, always curious how this looks on other platforms. Was a significant upgrade on PCVR?
Yeah, I would say so. It's certainly noticeable. Now, don't get me wrong; it looked beautiful on PS4 Pro, but you know, with more horsepower, with higher resolution displays, there's a noticeable increase in clarity, and certainly was the case with this game as well. So yeah, I'd say there's a lot of, or at least a decent amount of headroom for when this game does eventually come to PSVR 2. That it's going to look even better than it looked last gen.
Man, I hope it does eventually come to PSVR 2, because would hate for a game like this just to be forgotten about, lost to the sands of time. I wonder if EA having the license, because who published the new Jedi game? Was that EA? Do you know?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure that it is a EA again.
Yeah. So hopefully it all works out, and hopefully we can get this thing. Because yeah, I mean, dude, especially seeing some newer PSVR 2 games and seeing what they're capable of, just really makes me go, Jesus, this would be beautiful in PSVR 2. Wes, before we get out of here, tell me what's going on in Virtual Strangers today, this week. What's happening, man? Sell me on the channel for people who aren't familiar with it.
Well, Brian, tonight we're going to do something that we don't often do, and that is postpone the show till Friday. We've got a good lineup this week. We're going to talk about Walkabout, as we mentioned earlier. We're going to do our impressions on Transformers, and we're also going to cover Propagation Paradise Hotel on Steam, which is coming soon to PlayStation VR2. For those of you who don't know, this is all stuff we're doing this week. But time was getting a little bit tight. We've been busy at work. As I'm sure many of you know, my work schedule has changed, and used to Tuesday, Wednesday was my weekend. Not anymore. These are like some of my busiest days. So we were all just kind of behind the 8 ball today and decided, you know what, Friday would probably be a better day to do a show. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go on probably a little bit after you go off the air. We'll be going on the air to talk about these games.
Have you played Propagation yet?
No, not really. I think I've talked to. I haven't had time, man. I really haven't had time. Um, Eric, I think Eric's played it over halfway through it so far, and he's not the horror game connoisseur like I am. So he's kind of taken aback by how cliche it is. But that's the case in all these games. There are no horror games that are breaking the mold anymore. They all pretty much do the same thing. But I've heard a lot of comparison with like Resident Evil 1, which I love. I love to hear that, and I'm excited to check it out.
Dude, Resident Evil 1 would be the coolest VR game, so fucking sign me up.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's that kind of exploration style, like slow-paced exploration style game. There is some combat, but it's not combat heavy. And the big difference being obviously you're in a hotel now instead of a mansion. But it's that same type of game. You're in a big area. You have to backtrack a lot and kind of find your way through it.
Yeah. This is gonna be one of those games that just gonna be so happy to get the PSVR2 version. Hopefully, I mean, I played. This is Wanna Dev Studio, the same people who made Ragnarok, and Ragnarok is remarkably similar on PSVR2 as the Quest version. Obviously, that has to do with like the kind of low poly simplistic art style. So I'm curious to see what they do with this. If they can kind of like blow the visuals out of the water on PSVR2, or if it's just going to look suspiciously similar to other platforms. We'll see.
Well, the word right now, and again, I haven't got in and checked it out for myself. There are improvements on the PC version versus the Quest version, but not dramatic improvements. Like it's just a little better, which is a shame because they also did the original Propagation game, which is literally one of the best looking things you'll ever see in VR. That is like almost photoreal. It's really, really good. So a little bit of a disappointment on that end. I don't care though, man. As long as it looks good enough and it's scary and fun to play, then we'll be happy. It's a $20 game,
Yeah. Guys, if you're not familiar with Virtual Strangers, make sure you click the link in the description below and head over to Wes's channel where he and his friends are platform agnostic. They talk about not just PSVR2, but I'm sure a lot of PSVR2, all VR, all platforms. And so make sure you go over there, subscribe to their channel for all your not PSVR2 needs and some extra PSVR2 needs if you're not getting enough over here. Psh, ridiculous. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €5 says, it's shocking, but this is the first time Squadrons was picked for the 20 questions game. That is shocking. We've done a lot of games with 20 questions, and when I picked this game, I was like, God, how many times have we picked this game already? That is shocking.
I told you, man, people forget about Squadrons. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I think sometimes like you don't want to pick the obvious ones. Like you don't want to pick the big ones, right? Because we only got like how many big budget games on PSVR1, so you don't want to pick those for 20 questions, and so then they don't get picked at all. Yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Sorry again for all the technical problems. I'm going to make sure that everything gets charged up and is working properly before Wednesday. Nope, today's Wednesday, before Friday's show. Guys, a lot of cool content on the way. Obviously, I got the Oregon Quarter review up on Sunday night, and then this morning I got the Walkabout review up. Should have another Fisherman's Tale review when embargo lifts tomorrow for that before release or at release. I don't fucking know. I don't know embargoes because I'm disorganized. So that's going to be there. And then, dude, you don't even know. On Friday, stay tuned for 2 special preview videos exclusive to Without Parole. Very, very excited for those. So stay tuned. Thank you everybody out there who supports the channel financially over here on YouTube with membership subscriptions. Also on patreon.com/withoutparolegames. Thank you to everybody who tips during the show, who hangs out, moderators. Dude, I'm just like, it's just all falling apart right now, man. Like words just like jumbling up. Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, who puts all the timestamps into the sucker, and of course Jamie, who gets us up on podcast services. Everybody, we love you so much, even if you don't say anything and you sit back and you just think, man, one day I'm going to comment. Could that day be today? The answer might have been no. The answer might have been yes. Doesn't matter. We fucking love all of you. Happy West Day, Wes.
Happy West Day, Brian. Happy West Day, cats. See you soon.
Later. Fucking did it wrong again. Later. Chrome Colossus with a $2 tip says train, cat, heart, golf, fire, 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 fire. Thank you, Chrome Colossus. That's a lot of emojis. Proven Josh Cat. It can be done. Very good shit.
The hole is on fire. Right, and I think that's what it says.
The hole.
Get on the train, cat.
The hole is on fire. I don't think that's how that goes. Hell yeah, man. Dude, I've got so many things that I want to talk about. I've got so much shit to do. So we're ending the show. Have a good night, everybody. We love you all, even those who don't say a goddamn word. See, I didn't forget how it goes. I just tried to do something different and it didn't work out.
Bye-bye, everybody.